Welcome to The Explainer. Sometimes one big idea can change the way you see everything. Today, we're taking a look at one of those ideas from the book Guns, Germs, and Steel, and we're going to use it to understand the incredible story of one island, Taiwan. So, everything starts with this one question. It was asked by a man from New Guinea named Yali, and it's deceptively simple. Why do you white people have so much cool stuff, and we don't? This question, about what he called cargo, is really about the massive inequalities we see across the globe. And it's this question that sent author Jared Diamond on a mission to find an answer, leading to his famous book, Guns, Germs, and Steel. All right, so here's our game plan for this explainer. We'll start with that big question and Diamond's answer. Then we're going to look at Taiwan's surprising gift to the world thousands of years ago. After that, we'll jump to the present to talk about the new steel and what that means. We'll also cover the war on germs, and finally, pull it all together to look at the island's destiny and its future. Okay, first up, a New Guinean's question. So how do you even begin to answer something so huge? Well, first, Jared Diamond threw out all the old, ugly theories about race or intelligence. He said, nope, that's not it. The answer, he believed, wasn't about the people at all. It was about the land. It all came down to geography. And this big idea has a name, geographic determinism. It sounds complicated, but it's not. All it really means is that where you live matters a lot. It's not about being smarter or stronger. It's about what your environment gives you to work with. Think of it like this. Geography dealt the cards, and some continents just got a much, much better hand to start with.
So how does geography lead to global inequality? Well, Diamond breaks it down into two types of causes. You have the proximate causes, the things you see right on the surface, like guns, germs, and steel. They're the how something happened. But then you have the ultimate causes, which are the real reasons, the deep down why. And those ultimate causes? They're things like the climate, the orientation of the continents, and, crucially, which animals and plants were available to domesticate.
I mean, just look at this table. The numbers are absolutely wild. Eurasia had 72 potential large mammals to work with, and they managed to domesticate 13 of them. Think horses, cows, pigs, total game changers. Now look at the Americas, just one. Africa and Australia, 0. This wasn't just about having meat and muscle power. Living close to these animals gave Eurasians immunity to diseases, the germs, that would later wipe out other populations. It was a massive, massive head start. Okay, so with that framework in mind, let's zoom in on our main character for today, Taiwan. And this is where the story gets really interesting. Because according to Diamond, long before Taiwan was known for tech, it was the starting point for one of the most epic journeys in human history. This is what's called the out of Taiwan hypothesis. And it's a mind-blowing idea. It suggests that this one small island was the original homeland for a huge family of peoples, called the Austronesians, who spread out across the entire Pacific and Indian Oceans. We're talking about people in the Philippines, Indonesia, all the way to Easter Island and even Madagascar. And how do we know this? The biggest clues are hidden in language. So check this out. Linguists have figured out that the Austronesian language family has 10 main branches. And an incredible 9 of those 10 branches are found only among the indigenous peoples of Taiwan. Every other Austronesian language spoken across the vast Pacific belongs to just that one remaining branch. What does that tell us? Well, just like the place with the most genetic diversity is the origin point of a species, the place with the most linguistic diversity is the origin point of a language family. And that place is Taiwan. So how did they do it? It wasn't about guns and armies. It was all about a superior tech package. Around 6,000 years ago, a culture in Taiwan developed a killer combo: agriculture with rice and millet, and pottery. This meant they could support way more people. So about 4,000 years ago, they started to expand, taking their farming know-how and their advanced canoes with them. They spread south and then east across the vast Pacific. It was an expansion powered by food, not force. A true gift to the world. All right, let's hit the fast forward button. We're jumping thousands of years into the future, right into the 21st century. Diamond's book talks about steel as a proximate cause of power. So what's the new steel? What's the fundamental material that gives a nation its edge today? For Taiwan, the answer is crystal clear. It's silicon. Let this number just sink in for a second. 92%. That is Taiwan's share of the global market for the most advanced computer chips. We're talking about the tiny, incredibly complex brains inside literally everything. Your phone, your car, the cloud, AI,
all of it runs on this new steel, and almost all of it is made in Taiwan. It's an unbelievable level of dominance. And this incredible economic power has created something called the Silicon Shield. It's a really fascinating geopolitical idea. The theory is that Taiwan is so critical to the global economy that no one can afford for it to stop producing chips. An attack on Taiwan wouldn't just be a regional conflict, it would trigger a global economic meltdown. It's a way of turning economic strength into a powerful form of defense. Now, this didn't just happen by accident. It wasn't geographic luck this time. It was a deliberate, brilliantly executed plan. Decades ago, the government in Taiwan decided to bet big on this industry. They created research centers, set up places like the Hsinchu Science Park, and fostered this incredible ecosystem where companies could thrive. This is a case study in how human institutions can create a massive advantage, even on a small island with few natural resources. Okay, so we've talked about guns and steel. What about the germs? Well, in the modern world, the way a society handles a pandemic, a modern germ, tells you a whole lot about how strong its institutions and social fabric really are. And Taiwan's experience here is, again, pretty extraordinary. The story really starts back in 2003 with the SARS outbreak, which was a traumatic and very difficult experience for Taiwan. But here's the crucial part. They learned from it. They identified what went wrong and built a better system, creating a central epidemic command center. So when COVID-19 hit the world in 2020, they weren't starting from scratch. They had a playbook. They were ready. And when you look at why their initial response was so successful, it wasn't just because it's an island. It was about things that are harder to measure. A high level of public trust in the government's plan, really clever use of tech, like systems for rationing masks fairly, and just clear, honest communication. It's a powerful reminder that a society's real immune system is its social cohesion and trust. So let's bring it all home. We've used Diamond's framework to look at Taiwan's deep past and its powerful present. So what about its destiny? What does this all tell us about the challenges it's facing right now and in the future? And we come right back to where we started, geography. You just can't escape it. Taiwan's location on what's called the first island chain is incredibly strategic. It's a critical piece of the puzzle for any major power in the region. That geography, that simple fact of where it is on the map, means it's always going to be at the center of attention, for better or for worse. So this framework is actually a pretty useful tool for looking at the challenges ahead. You've got the huge geopolitical threat. Well, the Silicon Shield is the modern-day steel wall. Need to stay ahead economically? That requires relentless innovation, just like the ancient farmers had to innovate. But then there are the internal challenges, like political divisions. And that's where another key idea from Diamond comes in. The need for honest self-assessment, for a society to look itself in the mirror and decide who it wants to be. And that's really the key thing to remember here. This whole idea of geographic determinism, it's not about saying the future's already written. It's not fatalistic. It's about understanding the hand you've been dealt. Geography might set the stage and provide the initial conditions, but it's what people do next, the institutions they build, the choices they make, their ability to adapt and unite that truly determines a society's fate. So we're left with this final thought. Geography decides the starting point, but what will decide the destination? Taiwan's incredible story, from ancient migrations to silicon shields, shows that human choices matter. The choice to learn, to innovate, to build. The question is, what choices will come next? That's something for Taiwan, and really for all of us, to think about. Thanks so much for watching.